You are listening to the Built to Grow podcast.
All right. Welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, in studio, as always, joined by Randy Angston.
Hello.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Here we are.
All right. Got a good episode for everybody today. We're going to talk a little bit about motivation of employees and staff, what drives everybody, how to determine that, how to figure out what it is that you can incentivize employees with. But before we get into that, we do have a workshop coming up, our CLA workshop, February 25th and 26th. You can check that out at winninggym.com/workshop.
Yep.
For more details, and if you'd like to get on a call and kind of understand it a little bit more for maybe a demo, a walkthrough of it, get on a call with Randy at pfmarketingsolutions.com/call. There you have it. So today, this topic came up out of a group. I'm in another master. I'm in a couple masterminds, but this one is for gym owners that I don't know. I've been in it for years. STS. So. Gentleman has a player on his team, or so he thinks. He's got a guy that is young, hungry, driven, wants to grow, and he wanted to know from the group what it is that he should do. And this comes up a lot where you've got somebody on your team that, you know, maybe they're going above and beyond, and there you see them doing some good stuff, and like you want to keep that going, but you don't, you know, I think generally we always default, hey, just pay them more.
Sure.
And there's been a lot of studies, and there's some books I'm going to reference in this that you know pretty much say that money isn't always the driver for people to do more, want to do more, and things like that.
Yeah,
so,
or feel valued. Yeah,
feel valued, or sometimes money isn't everything for a lot of people, and some people are really happy with what they're doing every day, and it isn't about money. So I think I talked to you guys about a couple episodes about the housekeeper that my dad was working on. I forget the lady's name. Anyways, the long and short of it was she was the best housekeeper, made the bed. Everything was crispy in the rooms. And she, anytime they had a new employee, they would kind of like let her shadow, and they would just become great employees or whatever, just doing their job, great job. They offered her more money, more responsibility, and she turned it down because she was just happy with what she was doing. It wasn't about money for her. She just enjoyed her job. So sometimes that happens where you can't want it more than the person you're trying to get, right, to do more. So there's a couple of resources, guys. The two things that I have done in the past here that we continue to do, and we do with our coaching clients, is the DISC assessment. These are personality profiles, and there's a bunch of them.
Tons of them. I mean, you Google DISC assessment, you'll have options.
Yeah, but there's other personality.
Yeah. Just the types of,
And really what you're trying to determine is like what's not being said. Like they can go through a great interview, they may be a great employee, but what really drives them behind the scenes? And the reason I like the DISC assessment is because it tells you, like naturally where this person like lives in their comfort zone, and then how they've adapted for the role that they play in your facility. And if those are too far apart, then that's a little bit of there's friction there. And if you can be in alignment and the role that they are, and also like inherently the person that person is, then you got somebody that's happy with what they're doing, and they enjoy it, and they're being worked with the right way. Yeah,
we've all heard the term. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I would say that falls into play when somebody is in alignment, right? Like the outgoing, conversational individual being in the sales role, or you don't want to take the person who's the introvert, quiet, soft-spoken, and then throw them on the sales floor and expect them to flourish. Typically, right? There's always anomalies.
Right. Well, think about that. That's exactly what this is saying. Yeah. It's like they're naturally an introvert, but they've adapted themselves to be in that sales position, and they're out of alignment.
Correct.
Maybe they do a great job, like you said.
You know what's funny? Oh man, I wish I remember. I'll have to look into it. I might have. There was a resource that compared, like your tasks versus your personality, or like what you're doing versus your personality, and it scored you based on like, almost like what's that test that they take, like an ASVAB or a career placement type test? Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, it kind of gave you like a score as far as like, is this a career path that's suitable for kind of your personality? And the personality types are, for those that haven't done one, they ask you kind of, subjective questions about yourself, but they take the same kind of result and they ask it to you a number of different ways. And it's really designed to see how consistent those thoughts are in each of those areas, and then then it blends it gives you a score in different areas, and okay, you're extrovert versus introverted, or you're there's all sorts of characteristics that some of them spit back, but
task oriented or need to be a free thinker.
Are you the visionary or the
So great examples. We did this DISC assessment with Alyssa on our team.
Yeah.
And we were kind of working with her in the same way, where we would give her a project and kind of like check in every once in a while, but never really overmanaged her, never really told her exactly what to do. But she was the type of person who's like, give me the project and I'm going to go disappear for 3 or 4 days and I'm going to come back. It's going to be great. And then she was super happy.
Yep.
And we were doing that already, but when her DISC assessment came out, and I was like, look at this. This is great, because we're actually already managing her that way. But I also had a situation here not too long ago. I had an admin, somebody who was kind of with me at the old place. We brought her to the new place, and she was doing all kinds of stuff for me, like admin type stuff. But it seemed like every once in a while, I would just talk to her how I felt was normal, and she would end up in tears.
Yeah.
And she would just take it personally. And I was like, this is just, I don't understand. I don't understand how I can talk to this person this way and the same way to this next person. And this one's upset and that one's like ready to run through a wall for us. And we took the DISC assessment with her, and we found out that she needs to be very task oriented. Everything needs to be listed out, and she's very, needs to work in that manner, not, go get the job done and do whatever it takes. She needs to be told exactly
step
what
by
to
step,
do.
sure.
And great. Now that after I knew that, then I work with her differently, and that goes a long way. This is kind of a dual topic from the first question I said: how do you motivate somebody versus how do you work with somebody? Because they're different, right?
Absolutely.
How you work with somebody, and then also you're giving them the motivation and drive or things that drive them. On top of that, then you got a home run.
And I want to kind of bring up a point too. A lot of it comes down to how to more effectively communicate with other people. The motivation is a factor in that, but just the day-to-day. We've all had somebody on the team. Everybody who's worked in any sort of environment has had somebody that they get along with in the work environment, or like things are just mesh. And then there's somebody who, usually conversationally, you just don't know why things just aren't received the way that you intend them or say them, and a lot of that's just the communication breakdown around the difference of personalities, delivery, all of those things. So the one way that we utilize a DISC assessment is for just internal communication. We know, aside from what motivates each team member and how we can keep the teams moving, is okay, cool, this person operates that way, that's their natural system, so let's cater to those strengths instead of trying to force the round peg in a square hole, or
correct,
vice versa.
Exactly. In the D, the I, the S, and the C, they all mean different things. And you're going to score, when you score somebody's going to be a high DI or a high SC or a high, you know what I mean? And you'll be able to dissect that. And it gives you a report. It give you the website. It's funny enough, it's tonyrobbins.com/DISC. And that'll give you the report. You got apparently now, like years ago when we did it, it was free, but now you have to pay, I think, $20 to get the report back. Okay. But I think it's well worth it. Either way, we do this with our coaching clients. In fact, we're doing 2 right now with 2 gentlemen that have big teams. They've got big teams, and they need to understand these folks a little bit better because it's a little loose right now. Mm-hmm. And so we're guiding them down that path, and then we're going to analyze their whole staff and tell them what drives this person, how do you work with them, what drives this person, and what role are they in? So I don't know that off the top of my head, but I know a high DI, that's very, assertive. They're self-driven. They're going to be a good salesperson or leader. And then you got the SC folks that are task-oriented or maybe more artistic or whatever it is. Creative types that are going to live down in that one. And there's seats on the bus that those people, you need that type of person in. You need a high DI in the front. I would guarantee that most gym owners are high D, high I type folks because they're driven, mm-hmm. They're money motivated, they're salespeople, and that's the type of business owners that
I'd actually, after speaking to gym owners, as much as we do. I wonder if that's the case because
go take it. You'll learn a lot about yourself.
Well, I wonder how that correlates with the reason that they became a gym owner.
Interesting.
Now, I would say that if they are the gym owner that started as the trainer and was on the training floor, they may not be the same. They might not have the same levels of motivation.
Well, the one thing we know is not everybody's the same, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it would be curious. Yeah. So take the assessment for yourself. When I read mine, I'm like, yes, of course, this is me right
and
here.
And you guys have heard us talk about it before. When Tim and I refer to like the trainer brain,
Mm-hmm.
Those are personality types that we're talking about. These are things that we've, now we have kind of data based upon the DISC assessments and things like that have come back. That seat of the bus typically, there's always anomalies and outliers and things, but they typically have similar characteristics and values and motivation, drive.
And that's the other side of it. So the DISC assessment's going to rank you in a DISC, and then the other side is the values.
The values, yep.
What do you value? And there's like 10 of them. So like one's political, or one's altruistic. One is, like leadership. What drives you? And so what we found when we did this in the past was I had a great coach that wasn't a high DI, but he was very, he wanted to be a leader in some aspects. And then there was and so I put him in charge of programs and things like that where he could be a lead role of this, and he was super happy there. Long and short of it is, if you want to create a great team, you got to know who your team is that you're working with. I don't know the laws that say if you can or cannot hire based on a DISC assessment. I would hope that there isn't a law that says that, because you need to know this.
That's that's a person you're hiring. It's like the resume is like just proof of the work that they've done.
I don't know the laws. Like you can't hire based off of that. Maybe you can. I would hope you can, because that's who is this person that they're not telling you? Maybe their resume is great, but you find out they're not a good DI.
It's like the operating system. Like when you go to buy, this is the motor in the car. This is the thing. Like, to me, or the ECU, I guess. Like that, there's so much value in that DISC assessment.
I don't know. I don't know the rules on that. So check with your local agencies to find out that rule. But and then let's switch gears for a second. The other thing is what drives your team. And there's a great book, Daniel Pink read it years ago, called Drive. Like, this is the thing that motivates your team. And there was a couple things I want to mention here, and you can speak to this too, because we were talking about it before. The money portion typically drives a gym owner to work hard. They're motivated by money, but there's a lot of other things that people are motivated by. Maybe it's recognition. Maybe it's being part of something bigger. Maybe it's charity work and things like that. Those are different things where maybe you can recognize somebody more. If you gave them more money, they wouldn't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very interesting, right? And also, some things that I found with this younger generation coming in, call them millennials or whatever you want, I found days off, or, a paid day off, or even an unpaid day off is more important to them than more money on the check.
Crazy.
To us, it's crazy.
Exactly. But it just doesn't. It doesn't seem like that would be. I guess that's just
everybody's a little different, right? So instead of, when you're hiring somebody, maybe instead of it's more money, hey, you know what, we give you an extra couple days off a year, or an extra week off a year. And as a team, you can figure things out, how to shuffle the deck and get those hours covered. But that sometimes can be the driver.
Yeah.
That's why you see like these employee of the month. You see the parking spots that are, on top of their normal pay.
Exactly. Right at the door,
That's why you see these things. You think they're kind of silly and stuff, but when you get into these bigger corporations, you've got to find ways, and they figure out that's one of the ways. Employee appreciation, lunches, pizza,
Yeah, my mom, after she left corporate America, they do like a point system, right? Employees could give each other points for kudos type of thing, but then at the end of the quarter, whatever, you can cash them in for all sorts of things, right? Mm-hmm. But that gives each of those individuals the ability to get the recognition in ways that they're motivated too, which is kind of cool. So instead of just, oh, hey, cool, here's monetary, you can cash them in, turn them in for cash, and they had probably the lowest perceived, actual value. Time off, or like, knickknacks or goods, like, Apple TVs and electronics and all of those things. So it gave anybody the same ability to feel validated and things like that. But Jim Rohn said it forever ago. People will work for a paycheck, but they'll die for recognition. And that's something that, I mean, it's a profound statement, and it's true. You know, money is a tool, it's a vessel. It's not the money, it's the freedom that comes with it. So sometimes incentivizing somebody, you know, a little bit of a paycheck that doesn't maybe equate to a change in their life, they might not feel it like, cool, I get an extra week of vacation a year.
Yeah.
That is, now my life has changed.
Or we put your face on the wall as
Yeah.
the employee of the month, and you know everybody gives you a round of applause at the team meeting. You know, like that stuff seems to motivate.
And we talk about it at the client level. Think of the leaderboard.
Yep.
You know, the points in the Perkville, what do we call it? The Ultimate Rewards program that we've
Yep.
got. Same exact situation. It's all recognition based, right? It's
status.
It's elite. It's the velvet rope.
And so I would highly recommend two things to anybody listening that's a gym owner, that you have more than one person on your team. I mean, even if you had one, you could still do this. Read the book.
I would,
Drive.
especially if you know if you have multiple people. Absolutely.
And then go and take the DISC assessment, and obviously pay for the reporting after it, and you'll find out a lot. And it doesn't take long to do. Maybe 20, 30 minutes, and everybody on the team gets the link, and they go up and, you know, send you the results. So highly recommend that. You learn a lot about your team, and, you know, you're working with the team as much or more than you see your own family sometimes. You better work together nicely so you can understand how to keep this work environment tip top, right? So couple tricks, tools, tips for you guys. Take that one and run with it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, that's it for this episode, guys. Until next time, keep changing lives. See you.